President of the Nassau Suffolk Hospital Council. And also we have another great event coming up in September. We have Kathleen Rice, which will be speaking at Adelphi University. That is an RSVP. We need to know the numbers for that. Kathleen is a friend of LIMBA. She has spoken many times with us. And we're very grateful for Adelphi University for always supporting us with their presence at their university with Kathleen.
And John,
John, and then just Ernie and I were working out with John. We're going to be doing a tour of the Covanta plant in the end of August, early September, which is very amazing if you haven't taken a tour of the plant. Very amazing. See the reproduction of energy.
we didn't set the date for that, but I just talked to John this morning.
Ernie and I were building our schedule for the upcoming September through December. But as I had mentioned, during July and August, there's many people on vacation, so the programs themselves don't pay full benefit to the economy of Long Island. You know, the members. Ernie Fazio, go ahead.
Well, at the suggestion, at the suggestion of my good friend, Mr. Al Vitters, there you are. Colonel. And he suggested that I do a program talking about what I would do if elected to Congress. And I thought about that. It sounded like a good idea, but I decided to wait until we have the other guys, the primary, because I'm not in their primary, since I'm running independent, to invite them and let them debate with me. I think it would be a lot more exciting than hearing me all by myself. It's more exciting than hearing any one person by themselves. If you need somebody to challenge your ideas, to even look better, if you're good, which I am.
You call and vote on that?
All right, that's the end of the political speech.
So, with that, I'm going to let Kenny introduce the speaker, and we're going to hear it. Come on, Ken.
Oh, by the way, veterans, when they have the Pledge of Allegiance, you're allowed to salute in any kind of clothes and no hat. That's a law they passed a couple of years ago. Okay, today we have Anna Thone, Holst, the former Southampton town supervisor and a working mother of 4. Prior to being elected to public office, Anna served as the executive director of the Bridgehampton Child Care Center. Anna turned the center around, launched Head Start programs, after-school and educational assistance, teen pregnancy prevention programs, and college prep courses. Anna was first elected to the Southampton Town Board in 2007 and served 4 terms, 3 as a town supervisor. Anna led the effort to cut wasteful spending, reduce debt, and get the town upgraded to the highest possible AAA bond rating. These savings were invested in award-winning senior and veteran services, environmental protection programs, and job creation, all while holding the line on taxes. Of particular note is Anna's successful efforts to bring the New York State Clean Water and Technology Center to Stony Brook University. Further, Anna implemented trailblazing sustainable building codes, effective energy incentive and funding programs, and a robust open space prevention effort. Newsday endorsed her as a big thinker on environmental issues. Through her leadership, Anna has demonstrated that being responsible with our tax dollars, government can provide critical services, invest in our future, and create opportunities for those who need it most. Anna is running for Congress to make sure every family has the opportunity to succeed and seniors can retire and age with a sense of security. Anna will be the first woman to represent New York 01 and will restore real leadership to Suffolk County. Thank you.
There is no
Speak loudly.
And I will put my non-microphone voice on, and I will start by trying to be as good as Ernie, which, is a challenge. But thank you for inviting me to come today. And yes, I am indeed running for Congress here in the 1st Congressional District. And my friend who follows me around and records me every time, this is Tracker that follows me to then show Mr. Zeldin what I've been up to that day. So hi, Tracker. I want to start by saying I'm not only running to make sure that families and youth have opportunities, I'm running to make sure that businesses are as well supported as they can and should be right here in Suffolk County in the 1st Congressional District. And I want to start because I think we all woke up to some news today that is pretty startling news. So Britain voted to exit the European Union. This is huge. And I'm not sure that it's fully understood yet how huge this is, and certainly what it will do to us and our borders in the United States of America, but what it will do to the world economy. We do know that already today, markets are plunging all over. The Asian market is way off. We're starting at the opening bell down over 500 points. And the ripple effects of this are not even known yet. But I will say this, that there's one person celebrating in the United States of America today, and that's Donald Trump, which means that Lee Zeldin is celebrating too, because anything Donald Trump thinks is good, Lee Zeldin thinks is good too. And I think we have to understand how important it is to have people representing us that actually have some sense of the significance of these things. When I was an undergraduate student at American University in Washington, my major was in business management and international affairs. And I spent a summer at the European Union, at all of its headquarters in Europe. The Court of Justice in The Hague, the Financial Center in Strasbourg, et cetera, et cetera. And the significance of partnerships and working together, particularly in a time like this, when we are dealing with a different geopolitical situation than we really have ever in history. More people are moving across country and across geography than ever in the history, all over the world. There is a larger number of refugees, there is a larger number of migrants, there is a larger number of people fleeing conflict than we have ever seen in history. And this has enormous significance, both for the economy, across the world, but certainly for human rights and the future of geopolitics. And I think that we, as Americans, have always taken our responsibility as a world leader, as the biggest economy in the world, the strongest economy in the world, of showing leadership there, and leadership in terms of bringing our allies together to address these issues. So the significance of Britain leaving the European Union is enormous. And I say this too because it will potentially have a ripple effect right here in Suffolk County and to our businesses, particularly our manufacturing businesses. And I think we need to be represented in Congress by someone who actually understands that. So let me give you a little background on myself. I completed my degree at American in International Affairs and Business Management, and then later on a graduate degree at Columbia University from the School of International Affairs and Public Administration. And I also have a degree from this business school at Columbia in not-for-profit management. I devoted my career to working with and for people to create opportunity and a path forward, particularly for youth and families that were underserved. I started a school out on the East End where early childhood education was simply not available unless you were a wealthy white family that could afford private school. And to me, at the foundation of income inequality in the United States of America today is the fact that access to early childhood education equally, no matter what the circumstances of your birth is something, first of all, where we lag behind the rest of the world in this, but also if we're talking about creating income equality and equal opportunities, and we start our kids off at such an unequal playing field, and then going into school and going into opportunities for higher education, we already perpetuate the haves and the have-nots. And it affects our economy on every level. Because the cost of providing these services, the cost of giving a path into education, a path into job training, a path into job opportunities, is far less than the cost of dealing with the fallout of not creating these opportunities. And the cost of jailing, the cost of convicting, and the cost of recidivism is huge. And in the United States of America today, we bear the burden per capita of that more than any other country of the world. So when we're talking about understanding a larger geopolitical and a larger economic landscape, I think we need people who have actually worked on the ground with this, have a background and an education in this, and understand what the real economy of District 1 is. Now, I have a primary opponent who talks about job creation and that we need to support small businesses and job creation. And I agree with that. But I think what's missing from that discourse is understanding that one of the issues and one of the challenges to small businesses and medium-sized businesses on Long Island and in Suffolk County is access to qualified labor. We are not doing a good enough job of making sure that people can live, work, afford to make a living on Long Island today, particularly in Suffolk County. The cost of living is high, taxes are high, land prices are high, access to affordable housing and workforce housing is almost negligible, particularly the further east you go. We have an issue around lacking mass transit here. Getting to and from home, work, places of education is a challenge here. And we have enormous challenges to our environment. That used to be called the tree hugger issue. Only the granola eaters worried about the environment. Today, everyone who understands the economy understands that if our environment is not in good shape, our economy is not in good shape. And that is particularly true on Long Island. In my 6 years as town supervisor, I dealt with 5 named storms. Earl, Nemo, Irene, Sandy. And every year, we understood more and more profoundly what the cost and the practical implications were of not planning for these storms, of not understanding how we needed to mitigate both before and after, and what effect it was having on both our municipal budgets, but on the economy, and where businesses, particularly small businesses, were hurt every time these storms affected us the way they did. And then we have a utility in LIMBA that is not serving us well, that is not understanding how affected people are by utility rates, day-to-day businesses, day-to-day individuals, and where they have done a very poor job in dealing with a financial situation that is definitely a difficult one, but where municipalities were retiring and refinancing debt in an all-time low interest rate market, LIMBA did nothing about that. So we continue to carry that debt at very high interest rates. And all of this requires solutions, and I think what has previously been lacking in working together from the federal government, the state government, the county government, the business community, the environmental community, and the local municipalities. The cost of not planning for climate change, sea level rise, and the coming of these storms that are inevitable now is going to start to hurt us more than if we don't plan ahead. And every economist who studies this issue will tell you that. So we need a real concerted effort, starting on the federal level, but working with our state representatives, our county, and our local representatives to plan for this and put a major effort behind it. Now, Lee Zeldin, who represents us in Congress currently, is an avowed climate change denier. He does not believe in the science that has clearly shown that climate is changing and that there will be profound effects from climate change, and that it will hurt all of us in our pocketbooks. So this is no longer a granola eating issue. This is reality. And this is a reality that will hit our economy more and more if we don't deal with it. One of the big threats to our environment, right here on Long Island, but actually nationwide, is the nitrogen pollution that is going into our ground and surface waters. Again, science has shown us that the nitrogen that's going in, that's causing the algae blooms, they're affecting our fishing industry, affecting our shellfish industry, killing off our eelgrass beds, which is the major reason why we had the kind of flooding during Sandy, because eelgrass beds in our wetlands, and I'm getting a little wonky on this, but are what acts traditionally as the sponge that mitigates and holds off sea level rise and storm surges. And it has been shown by science that we would not have had the level of flooding and inundation that we had if our eelgrass beds and wetlands had been protected. So we need to deal with this. And science again has shown that the number one culprit in the nitrogen loading is the fact that in Suffolk County alone, we are built over 360,000 single and separate homes. And what do we have? We have cesspool and septic systems that are all in our backyard. Some of us don't even know where they are, but they're somewhere in our backyard. They've been there for decades, and they cannot handle